All right. Welcome everybody here. Let's do a quick check on the audio and make sure everybody can hear me. Okay, give me one moment. We'll go ahead and get started here in just 1 second. Let me go ahead and get ready to present, and we will begin here. So give me, get ready. All right. So, hope you all are doing well. Espero que todos están teniendo un super noche. Qué pena que estamos arrancando un poco tarde esta noche, pero tuve unos problemas con la plataforma. Entonces pero ya debemos estar arrancados en Instagram y también en YouTube. Entonces, ¿cómo veo todo eso de Instagram? Dame 2 segundos. Dame 2 segundos a ver si estoy. Ok, ya me toca poner go live. Ok. All right. We are live also on Instagram. So, welcome everyone. Happy to have you all here tonight. Okay, one moment. All right, perfect. That should be just fine. All right, very good. Viendo esto live stream, lo que vamos a hacer es aprender. Viendo esto live stream, lo que vamos a hacer es aprender inglés con un poco de español, pero todo en contexto. Entonces, sí, sometimes I will speak in English and sometimes I will speak in Spanish so that everyone can understand. The topic for tonight is all about English phrases that you can use to talk about the status of projects in a meeting, to talk about why a project is going well or why it's not going well, and we will learn all of this in context. So, I believe a few people have arrived, so we will begin. Listo. Pongan algo ahí en el chat para decirme si tienen alguna pregunta. All right. Give me one moment. Ok. Para empezar, lo que vamos a hacer es ver unos videos de gente que están hablando de project management. Entonces, ese tipo va a hablar what makes a project successful. So we'll listen, see what words you understand, what words are new, and if you have any questions, put them in the chat. All right, here we go.
Success from an urban design perspective. Typically, success is defined when you clearly define the goals at the onset. So each project is going to be a little bit different.
All right, so there it's quite interesting. He uses the word at the onset. So at the onset means at the beginning. So he says to clearly define goals at the onset.
But there's community engagement, there's needs and desires of the community, there's needs and desires of the client, whether it's a developer or a municipality or a government agency. There are environmental impact goals and targets, certainly sustainability goals and targets. There's a plethora of different strategic objectives for each project that we would, first of all, thoroughly try to understand before we proceed to deliver a project. And we measure ourselves and we measure the success of each project by how well we dial in, focus, and deliver.
Okay. Another interesting word here is dial in. So to dial in, like he says, it means to focus a lot. So, all right, now we'll look at another interesting video about project management. So I'll put this here in the chat if any of you guys would like to watch this video, but I'll put it here in the messages so you guys can also see what this video is all about. Hoy desde Barcelona. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Bienvenidos al live stream, Dr. Ferry. Very good. All right. So we'll watch one more video and then we'll get
As a project
started.
manager with over 10 years.
All right, so the next one will be another project manager talking about her job, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. So give me one moment. All right, here we go.
Years experience in my PMP, this is how I would define what a project manager does. So project managers we can think of as expectations managers. They are there to manage the expectations of the client around 4 key areas. First is going to be our
All right. She says something interesting here. Key areas. When we say that something is key, we mean to say that it is important. So 4 important areas. En español sería áreas claves.
scope. What is it that actually has to be delivered? Next is going to be our schedule.
Okay. So she uses the word scope. The scope is, like she says, what needs to be delivered, kind of how big is this project. For example, the scope of this class is to teach vocabulary, phrases, and also practice listening and reading all around project and project management in English. That is the scope of what we will learn today. So scope is a very good and very common word that's used in this context.
How long is it going to take to deliver that? And then we're going to have our costs. How much is it going to cost to deliver that?
Very good. So a couple of things she mentions there. How long is it going to take? How much time will be required? And how much is it going to cost?
And finally is going to be our quality, because if we don't have quality built into the project, it's not going to be successful. So project managers work closely with the project team and with other stakeholders to ensure the success of the project.
Okay, very good. Another key word here is ensure. Ensure means to guarantee. En español es como asegurar. Qué pena el acento. But it means to guarantee the success. And another key word is stakeholders. A stakeholder is anybody involved in the project. So the stakeholders could be the employees who work at the company, the clients who are going to receive the benefits of this project, other suppliers, perhaps, other companies who are partners. Pretty much everyone involved with this project is a stakeholder.
By managing these 4 key areas, using skill sets like communication, organizational skills, being detail oriented, an array of other skills to ensure the success of the project. As the project
All right, very good. So we will go ahead and move on. Does anyone have any questions about either of these 2 short videos? Yes. Somebody asked, do you have a job? Yes. I am a full-time English teacher, so I work for myself and I teach students from all over the world English and specifically business English. All right. Very good. So let's continue. Uh, is there a problem? Sorry, give me one moment. Clear live. Can everybody see and hear me? Looks like we're still live here. Let's see. All right, we will continue. Um, okay, sorry. I think there may be a problem on the Instagram stream, so let me double check and see if this is live or not. It may appears to be frozen. Okay, sorry everyone. Give me one moment, and we will continue over on YouTube. I want to make sure that I am successfully connected to this Instagram live stream. So, alrighty. How do I do that? Um, uh, okay. Okay. One moment. I'm going to try to reconnect over there, and give me just 2 minutes, guys. I'm really sorry about everybody watching on YouTube, but I want to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. So let's go here, get this set up, and then we can return to talking about project management. I'm very excited to get this started for you guys. Okay. Um, hmm. Does not look like it wants to work on Instagram tonight, but that's okay. I can just hang out with you guys here on YouTube, and we'll do it like this. All right. So I'm gonna take a second and put the stream, just a link to it on my Instagram story so everybody over there can come over, and then in 2 minutes we will go ahead and begin. So sorry about this holdup, but I want to make sure that everybody is here that wants to be here. So mm, hola a todos, qué pena, pero había un problema con el live en Instagram, entonces vamos a seguir haciéndola ahí en YouTube con este enlace. Te veo allá. Hola a todos, qué pena, pero había un problema con el live en Instagram, entonces vamos a seguir haciéndola ahí en YouTube con este enlace. Te veo. Hola a todos, qué pena, pero había un problema con el live en Instagram, entonces vamos a seguir haciendo. Okay, let us continue, and all right, we're back. So, one moment, we will continue. So, welcome to everybody who's here. Now we will start talking about project management. So, if you guys are watching, tell us below. Do you guys work in project management? What experience do you have working with projects in English, Spanish, whatever language? Es que en tu trabajo hay que manejar proyectos y cosas así. Me dices allá en el chat, por favor. Ok, súper. Vamos a seguir. Listo. Lo que vamos a hacer para empezar es una actividad de leer. Vamos a leer de proyectos y usarla como una oportunidad de aprender nuevo vocabulario. Entonces me da un minuto para encontrar el, el link. Ok, aquí está. Listo. Bueno. Okay. All right. So, can everyone see the screen well? If you can see the screen well, please tell me in the messages. Let me resize this so everyone can see it. See it okay. All right. Okay. So we can make it a little bit wider, and let me adjust it so we can all read this together. Okay. This should be good. So, what we're going to do is we're going to read about volunteerism, and actually, I have an idea real quick. Since we're only here, okay, never mind. We will begin. So, what we'll do is I will read about this out loud, then I will talk about the vocabulary, what these words mean, and if you guys pay attention, afterwards we will ask some questions. Entonces, si tiene alguna duda, me ponga ahí en los mensajes y sí, seguimos así. Entonces, para los que están recién llegados, vamos a leer este artículo. Se trata de unos proyectos y la idea es fijarse bien en qué quiere decir esas palabras que son aquí en letra bold. So we'll read and talk about what these words mean. And if you have any questions, please put them in the messages. So, a commitment to volunteerism. For many employees, work rarely involves helping local communities in the rainforests of the Amazon or children in schools with little or no access to modern technology. However, these examples of volunteer projects are becoming more and more common in the business world, and many companies now offer their employees the opportunity to take part in volunteer programs. So, one key phrasal verb here is take part. Does anyone know what take part? Okay, I think we are back. All right, we are back. Very good. And let me change this so we can. Okay, so Timberland is one such company with a commitment to volunteerism. The global clothing manufacturer encourages staff to spend up to 40 paid hours a year on community and social projects. This community benefits from the company's resources, and staff gain new skills and teamwork improves. So, the keywords here are resources. Now, resources is another way to talk about valuable things that you can use to achieve something. En español es recursos. So resources could be money, time, human capital. So your employees, and also knowledge. So cualquier cosa que se dice recurso, in English we say resources. So, and the next word here is teamwork. So when you work with a group of people to achieve some goal, we call this teamwork. Trabajo en equipo. All right, we will continue. Another example is the financial services firm Credit Suisse. It sends employees overseas educational and microfinance projects. Sorry about that. We have some problems with the connection this evening. But the first word is objectives. So this is another word for goals, como objetivos en español. And the other word is expertise. Does anyone know what expertise means used with the connection here this evening? Okay, give me a second. I'm going to close a lot of my other applications here, and maybe this will help. So, okay, all right. We're having a bit of a slower connection tonight, but that is not a problem. Okay, we will continue. So expertise is like expert advice. These people here work for a financial institution, so they have expert advice to offer these developing nations who don't have these types of financial professionals, maybe living in their country or working for them a lot. So it's very good. All right. Now, Samira Khan is one employee who took advantage, como aprovechó of her company's volunteer scheme. Samira normally spends her days behind a desk as a software engineer, but she's also managing a volunteer project to redecorate a community center for the elderly in Chicago. Managing a project like this means that Samira is learning new skills such as organizing the schedule so that they complete each milestone by its deadline. She also has to control a limited budget. And every few days, she gets updates from her project team to check on their progress. She finds working on this project very rewarding and is pleased to be learning new skills. So, here we have a few interesting words. The first one is schedule. Es como agenda o horario. So the place where you organize your time is the schedule. And also in a project, the schedule could be not just your time, but more of a long-term schedule. So next week, we will do this. In 1 month, we will complete this other task. A milestone. This is a task, kind of an important task, an important achievement. So you could have in one project maybe 5 milestones. The first milestone could be, for example, here to help this community center. The first milestone could be to get the permits for all the work they're going to do. The second milestone could be to renovate and redecorate the kitchen. The third milestone could be to redecorate the community room and things like that. And so in a project, you have different milestones, and they're small objectives that allow you to stay on track with the project. So, and then deadline. This is the time that something is required to be done. So for example, the deadline could be next Friday. So you need to finish the project before next Friday for the deadline. Okay? All right. The next word is budget. In Spanish, we would say presupuesto. So a budget is the amount of money you're allowed to spend for some type of project. And then an update, this is like actualización. Qué pena. Actualización. Actualización. There we go. So when you give the new information, the day-to-day information, this is an update. So every day, her team sends her updates. Okay, very good. Does anyone have any questions about any of the words or other things that I didn't mention here? Okay, perfect. So now we will go ahead and do a little quiz to see how much you guys were able to remember, or how much you guys were able to know from these words. Okay, so now what we're going to do is there is a question in English, and each question is related to a word. For example, can you email the plan of all the work you have to do and the key dates? Entonces, ¿cuál es una palabra en inglés que quiere decir the plan of all the work you have to do and the key dates? ¿Cómo sería eso en inglés? Would it be milestone, budget, deadline? Think about the other words that we have used. Schedule. Very good. All right. Y un momento, lo que voy a hacer ahora es poner las notas de la clase ahí en los mensajes para que ustedes puedan verlas después de la clase. Entonces, ya. Ok. Bueno, en los mensajes voy a poner ese enlace de Google Drive. Entonces, si quieren, pueden revisarlo para ver las opciones para estas preguntas, para esas preguntas. Entonces, vamos a seguir. Okay, listo. So, a plan of all the work you have to do and the key dates. This is a schedule. We only have a limited amount of money available for the project. So what word means the amount of money available, the amount of money allocated for a specific project? All right, budget. Very good. Budget, como presupuesto. All right. Next one. The main problem is that no one knows what anyone else is doing. We need a situation where everyone works together for this project to succeed. So when everyone works together as a team, what do we call that? All right, teamwork. Very good. All right, next one. Could you send me regular reports with the most recent information about our progress? Very good. All right, updates. Perfect, updates. So when you give someone this regular information, it's called an update. Okay, last questions for this reading. The next one. We have to finish the project by a certain point in time. This is a deadline. So we have to finish the project by a certain deadline. Okay, very good. Okay, the next one. Main things we're trying to achieve. What are the main things we're trying to achieve? Objectives. Okay, very good. All right, number 7. I really feel we're making progress now because today we completed a very important stage. So do you remember this one? What are the different stages, the small objectives in the project? Milestone. Okay. And number 8, the reason we're behind schedule is because I don't have all the supplies and human expertise that I requested. Resources. So this is going to be resources, como recursos. Y en ese momento me da curiosidad, ¿cómo se dice milestone, pero en español? Entonces voy a buscar, yo no conozco esa palabra en español. El mojón o el hito es lo que dice ahí. A ver, el hito. Ok, creo que es un poco diferente en inglés. Pero bueno, seguimos. Bueno, ya que vamos a hacer es escuchar a alguien describiendo las cosas que está haciendo en su proyecto y vamos a hablar de la misma manera del vocabulario y de las frases. Entonces, ese video yo hice con el IA, entonces vamos a ver cómo quedó. Yo creo que me quedó normal, pero ustedes me dicen allá en el chat si es muy robótico, si es un poco natural. Obviamente no es una persona real, pero espero que la voz es como normal, que no es tan robótico. Entonces, vamos a ver ese video y fíjate bien. Entonces, una cosa de escuchar. Cuando uno quiere escuchar algo y usarlo como un método para mejorar el inglés, yo lo hago en la forma siguiente. Es como listen, read, listen. Entonces, lo que vas a hacer la primera vez es escuchar toda la cosita. Después vas a leer todo el transcripto, todas las palabras y buscar todas las palabras que uno no entiende para poder, sí, entender todo el audio. Y después de eso, la idea es volver a escucharla para que puedas entender la mayoría y entenderlo mejor. Cuando uno está escuchando para practicar y mejorar su inglés, eso es lo que yo recomiendo como escuchar, leer y volver a escuchar, porque cada vez que repites, uno entiende un poco más. Y eso es la idea. Aprender palabras, pero sobre todo aprender y entender más del contexto. Entonces, vamos a escuchar a esa muchacha, se llama Matilda, pues la IA se llama Matilda. Entonces, vamos a escuchar a ella describiendo su proyecto. Después vamos a leer y escuchar de nuevo. Y al fin de todo eso, ponte pilas porque vamos a tener otro como examen, como otro quiz, como ya hicimos. Entonces, vamos a hacer eso.
A center for
Okay, here we go. So, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, what we will do now is we are going to listen to this audio about by this woman who will be describing her project. So this is a video I made with AI. I hope the voice sounds a little bit natural. And the strategy for improving your listening in English is very simple. What you want to do is listen, read, and then listen again. So we'll listen to the video, then we'll read the transcript and talk about new words, and then we'll listen one more time to really reinforce what we learned. And after we listen, pay attention because we will have a little quiz. All right, here we go. Okay, let me set it up so that we can see everybody okay. Yeah. Okay, this is perfect. Here we go.
So this is my project, a center for senior citizens. We have to finish by the end of the week, and I think we'll meet the deadline. We fell behind schedule because of Thanksgiving, but we managed to catch up last week, and we're back on track now. We might even finish ahead of schedule. It was hard at first, knowing how to allocate resources. You know, who does what, when, how much it will cost, etc. I have managed to stay within budget, but only just. I think the key thing I've learned is the importance of delegation. I try as much as possible to delegate tasks and trust people to get on with them. If I tried to do everything myself, we'd never finish on time. Teamwork is essential, and I get updates from people every 2 days so that I don't lose control of the project. I'm very happy with the project. So far, things are going according to plan. So, fingers crossed for the last few days.
Okay, very good. Zen Monk, hello as well. All right, so tell me, did you understand this video or was it a little bit difficult? ¿Cómo les fue con el video? ¿Estaba muy robótico? Good morning. Ah, okay. ¿Dónde estoy? Here it is evening. Where are you located, Zen Monk? Must be somewhere in Asia, but good morning to you as well. So now what we will do is read the transcript and talk about the important words she uses. So I'll start by going through here and talking about the words. So the first important word she says is deadline. So the deadline, as we talked about, this is like a due date. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, well, welcome. We are doing a English live stream. Today, we're talking about business English, specifically vocabulary you can use when you're talking about a project or you're in a meeting giving some kind of a project update. You're from India. Okay, well, very nice. So here we have many people from South America. So I speak in English, but also a little bit in Spanish. So I hope that doesn't confuse you, but we'll be talking about the meanings of these words and using videos and other things to explain this idea. So welcome and thank you for coming. But yes, I realize my live does not have a good title, but that's no problem. We will continue. So, okay, all right. Well, very good. So we just watched this video. Now we will read the transcript and continue here. So thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, write them in the messages. Welcome. Okay, so this is my project for senior citizens, a center for senior citizens. We have to finish by the end of the week, and I think we'll meet the deadline. So this is a good phrase here, to meet the deadline. So when the deadline is the due date. This is the time that you must finish something before. So anytime you have an important project, you always have a deadline. So to meet the deadline is to achieve this target. And does anybody know what is the opposite of meet the deadline? So if you don't meet the deadline, what is the phrase that we use? Okay, very good. Thank you. So the opposite of meet the deadline is miss the deadline. So miss is the opposite. So if the project is meant to be completed on Wednesday, but you don't finish until Friday, then you miss the deadline. But if the project is due Wednesday and you complete it Wednesday, then you meet the deadline. So, next word. We fell behind schedule because of Thanksgiving. So, to fall behind schedule, it means that you lose your progress. So, it means that you're going to miss the deadline. You will not succeed in this project. So, to fall behind. So, you're not going to make the deadline. And after you fall behind, you need to catch up. So catch up en español es como ponerse al día. So falling behind means the work is getting more and more and more. And when you catch up, you get up to date. So you work a lot and you catch up on all the work so that you can meet the deadline. And after you catch up, then you are back on track. So to be on track means to be kind of headed in the right direction. If you're on track, it means that you are on schedule, you are going to meet the deadline. Very good. And then here we say we might even finish ahead of schedule. So ahead of schedule, this means that you will finish before the deadline. So all very good words here. Behind schedule, catch up, back on track, and ahead of schedule. Any questions so far about these phrases related to time? Okay, so it was hard at first knowing how to allocate resources. You know who does what, when, how much it will cost. I have managed to stay within budget, but only just. So, when we talk about allocating resources, allocate, it means to distribute. Es como distribuir o más bien como repartir en español. So, to allocate resources means to figure out the amount of time and money and other things that needs to be put in different places. So, let's say you have 5 tasks in a project and you have 10 people. You may allocate 2 people to each task, and you may allocate $10,000 to one task and $100,000 to the other task. It's about how you split up the resources, like people or money or other important things. And the next important one is budget, to stay within budget. So to stay within budget means that you're not spending too much money. So let's say your budget is $100,000. If you're within budget, you spend 90, 95, 99, but you are within the budget. You're not over the budget. So the opposite of within the budget is going to be over budget. So over budget, this is when you spend too much money. So if you're over budget, you are in big trouble. So but over budget is when I'll put it in a different place. This is a bit confusing there. So only just, and I'll put it at the bottom. So yeah. So over budget is the opposite of under budget or within budget. So this is a bad situation. Very good. So allocation and distribution, it's very similar. So we use allocation more to talk about how money or resources are assigned. It's more like assigned than distributed. I apologize for that definition. So it's more like how the money is assigned to different things. And distributed you could use, but distributed is also used to talk about a big company like Amazon. They distribute things around the world. So more about a logistics company or something that distributes different things. But allocate is more in the context of a project. I will assign $10,000 here and I will assign this money here. But very good question. Allocation and distribution. Perfect. So, all right. The next thing I've learned is the importance of delegation. This is an important word. So to delegate, this is when you assign tasks to other people. So, for example, if you're the manager, then there are many things that you need to do. And what you can do is you can delegate those tasks. So you can say, John, I need you to fill in the spreadsheet. Sarah, I need you to contact the clients. So delegate different tasks because one person cannot do everything. An important point here, delegation. This is a noun and delegate is a verb. Very good. So the same allocate and allocation. Allocation is a noun and allocate is a verb. Okay. So, all right. So if I tried to do everything myself, we'd never finish on time. Teamwork is essential and I get updates from people every 2 days so I don't lose control of the project. All right. And then the last thing we have here is according to plan. So when things go according to plan, it means they go the way they should. Como siguiendo el plan. All right. So do we have any other questions about the text here? Anything else? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll watch the video one more time and then we'll move on to the quiz. So ponte los pilas que ya vamos a hacer un examencito.
So this is my project, a center for senior citizens. We have to finish by the end of the week, and I think we'll meet the deadline. We fell behind schedule because of Thanksgiving, but we managed to catch up last week, and we're back on track now. We might even finish ahead of schedule. It was hard at first, knowing how to allocate resources. You know, who does what, when, how much it will cost, etc. I have managed to stay within budget, but only just. I think the key thing I've learned is the importance of delegation. I try as much as possible to delegate tasks and trust people to get on with them. If I tried to do everything myself, we'd never finish on time. Teamwork is essential, and I get updates from people every 2 days so that I don't lose control of the project. I'm very happy with the project. So far, things are going according to plan. So, fingers crossed for the last few days.
Okay. All right. Good question. Delegate verb means. So this verb delegate is when you assign a task to a different person. So, for example, let's say that you are the project manager and it's an IT project and you guys have a big application that you need to make. So I would delegate the task of fixing bugs to one person and the task of contacting clients to another person. So this is when you assign different tasks to people on your team so that the work is spread out among everyone. So that's what we mean to delegate. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, very good. So now we will move on to the quiz. So what we have here is a fill in the blank exercise. Lo que necesito es que ustedes pongan la palabra que falta ahí. Entonces, aquí en el lado derecha tiene el significado en inglés. Y aquí en la izquierda tenemos una frase con el mismo significado, pero falta una palabra. Entonces, so on the right, we have the full phrase in English. And on the left, we're missing one word. So, to the deadline is to finish on time. Sorry. Meet. Okay. Meet the deadline. So to meet the deadline is to finish on time. And if you remember, to miss the deadline is to finish late. Okay. To make slow progress is to fall behind. Fall behind schedule. Okay, very good. Meet the deadline. Perfect. All right. I'll wait one moment so you guys have a chance to read some of these and see what are the other words. Behind schedule. Very good. What about number 3? Catch. When you're behind, after this, you need to do what? What do you need to do? Okay. Yeah, so fall behind schedule is correct. Number 3 is catch up. All right. To catch up. Okay. Number 4, be back, track. What would you put here? Be back on track. Okay. All right. Number 5. So if you finish before the planned date, you finish not behind, but ahead. Finish ahead of schedule. Okay, no problem, Zen Monk. You can see the rest of them here. And if you look in the at the top of the messages, there's a Google document. And in this document, you can see all of the notes from today's class, all of the videos, so you can review there. But that's okay. So, all right. The next one, make use of people, money, and time. Allocate. To allocate resources. So you need to put the money into different places or put people's time in different places. Okay? The next one, stay within. Stay within budget. So stay within budget. And remember, if you're over budget, this means you spent too much money. So you don't want to be over budget. You want to be within budget. Okay. All right. Next one, tasks. To give people different responsibilities. This is to delegate. To delegate tasks. This one we didn't talk about. This one is more British, but to get on with the task, you may. Hello, hello. Okay, so now what we will do is we're going to listen to an update meeting, another video. So before, I want you guys to take one moment to read this context. This will give you the background information so you can understand what's happening in this meeting. So, the Tech Tariff Project is a collaboration between MMT Tech, a service provider, and Anvincon, a mobile phone manufacturer. The aim is to launch a high-tech phone with new advanced features from Anvincon in combination with MTT Tech's new tariff, which includes free video phoning and multimedia message services. Eric and Jessica from MTT Tech and Amy from Anvincon are meeting to discuss the progress of this project. So, we have two companies are collaborating on a new cell phone that they want to release, and they're having a meeting to discuss the progress of this situation. All right, so give me one moment and we will watch this video also. So, okay. Okay, so we can make this a little bit bigger. Goodness. All right, here we go. So, as we said earlier, we will watch this video, then read the transcript, and then watch it again. So, here we go.
Proposed agenda yesterday. Okay, I sent you a proposed agenda yesterday. Have you had a chance to look at it?
Yes, it looks fine.
The purpose of today is to update each other on progress and consider anything that might affect our schedule.
Okay.
Jessica, why don't you start? How are things with the marketing department?
Up to now, the launch date has been set for the 15th of November to capture the Christmas trade. This means we must meet our deadlines.
Good point. So how's the advertising campaign coming along?
That's fine. We've set a realistic schedule and planned in a bit of extra time in case the printing takes longer than expected.
And how far are you with preparations for the launch party?
Our events manager says we're on track. He booked the venue 2 weeks ago, and I've already received offers from various catering companies. I haven't made a final choice yet, but most of them are well within our budget.
That sounds good, Jessica, thanks. So, how does your side of things look, Amy?
Actually, things aren't running as smoothly as I'd hoped. We've hit a problem with the handset battery life.
Okay, so what do you mean exactly?
Well, in some cases, the battery can run out in 6 hours if its key features are in permanent use.
So what you're saying is we're about to launch a new revolutionary low-cost mobile phone, and its battery only lasts 6 hours.
Well, obviously, that's an extreme case, but the engineers have identified that there is a basic design problem with the battery.
So the real problem lies with the battery manufacturers?
Yes.
But Amy, what about our deadlines? Can this problem be resolved?
Well, our engineers are looking into it, and if it's fixable, they'll do it. But they'll need time. We may have to reschedule.
But we can't postpone the launch at this stage. There must be something you can do.
Are there any alternatives?
Well, I've got some suggestions, but you may not like them.
Amy, you've put us in a difficult position. Why don't we get another coffee and then we'll look at our options?
Okay, so this is a little bit long, so we'll break it into 2 parts. But, ¿alguna pregunta hasta ahora? ¿Alguien? No sé. Sí. All right, so what are they talking about? What is the main topic of this video, of this meeting? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll look at this and talk about any new words or phrases. So the first one we see is an interesting phrase, have you had a chance? So when we ask someone, have you had a chance to, it means did they do it or did they not do it? But it's a polite way to say this. It's como, ¿has tenido la oportunidad de mirar eso? So it's a very polite way to say, have you looked at it or have you not? So, very good. They begin the meeting by stating the purpose. The purpose of today is to update each other on the progress. Very good. All right. So, the first interesting phrase we see is how are things with? So, when you want to ask about the status, you can say, how are things with? How are things with the marketing? How are things with the project? Okay. When giving an update, you can start by saying up to now, and it's also very common to say so far, which means until this current moment. So, all right. Here we see meet our deadlines. an important phrase is showing up again. All right, perfect. So the second interesting phrase to ask about these things is how is something coming along? So when we ask, how is something coming along? It means, yeah, how is it going? Give me a status update about this. Okay, very good. So that's fine. Yeah, we've set a realistic schedule and planned a bit of extra time. So very good. And another way to ask about how things are going is how far are you? So to ask how much progress they have made, he says, how far are you with preparations for the launch party? So very good. Here we say that we are on track. So we're on track is another way to say we're on schedule. Everything is good. Okay? All right. And then, yeah, well within our budget. So this means that their spending requirements are being fulfilled. The cost of this is not too high. Okay? The next one, how does your side of things look? Another way to ask for a kind of a status update. Okay. When things aren't going very well, you could say something like this. Things aren't running as smoothly as I had hoped. So for things to run smoothly, it means that things are going well. Things are going according to the plan. Very smooth. And she says, we've hit a problem. So this is a very good phrase. We've hit a problem. We have hit a roadblock. Okay. All right. Very good. So any questions so far? Anyone have any questions about anything that's going on? Okay. So another interesting phrase we see is Jessica doesn't really understand what she's saying. So she uses this phrase, so what you're saying is. We're about to launch this new phone and the battery only lasts 6 hours. So she asks her, so what you're saying is. She wants to rephrase and hear her repeat the statement. Okay. The same thing here. So the real problem lies with. They're trying to figure out what the real problem is. Okay. All right. Very good. Another couple of good phrases. What about? So what about this? What about that? Okay. All right. Very good. So take a second to read this. Then we'll watch this again and then continue. All right. So we'll watch part 1 again and then move on to part 2. So now we're going to watch part 1 and part 2.
Okay, I sent you a proposed agenda yesterday. Have you had a chance to look at it?
Yes, it looks fine.
The purpose of today is to update each other on progress and consider anything that might affect our schedule.
Okay.
Jessica, why don't you start? How are things with the marketing department?
Up to now, the launch date has been set for the 15th of November to capture the Christmas trade. This means we must meet our deadlines.
Good point. So how's the advertising campaign coming along?
That's fine. We've set a realistic schedule and planned in a bit of extra time in case the printing takes longer than expected.
And how far are you with preparations for the launch party?
Our events manager says we're on track. He booked the venue 2 weeks ago, and I've already received offers from various catering companies. I haven't made a final choice yet, but most of them are well within our budget.
That sounds good, Jessica. Thanks. So, how does your side of things look, Amy?
Actually, things aren't running as smoothly as I'd hoped. We've hit a problem with the handset battery life.
Okay. So what do you mean exactly?
Well, in some cases, the battery can run out in 6 hours if its key features are in permanent use.
So what you're saying is we're about to launch a new revolutionary low-cost mobile phone, and its battery only lasts 6 hours.
Well, obviously, that's an extreme case, but the engineers have identified that there is a basic design problem with the battery.
So the real problem lies with the battery manufacturers?
Yes.
But Amy, what about our deadlines? Can this problem be resolved?
Well, our engineers are looking into it, and if it's fixable, they'll do it. But they'll need time. We may have to reschedule.
But we can't postpone the launch at this stage. There must be something you can do.
Are there any alternatives?
Well, I've got some suggestions, but you may not like them.
Amy, you've put us in a difficult position. Why don't we get another coffee and then we'll look at our options?
Okay. So, does anyone have any questions about this first part? ¿Alguna pregunta? Se trata de ese primer parte. Están hablando de ese problema con la batería y qué van a hacer. Entonces, ya vamos a ver el parte 2 y entonces vamos a hablar de todas las frases que se usan y sí, que quieren decir. Entonces ya.
The battery problem has to be resolved, otherwise the whole project is in trouble. That's how I see it.
Is that really the case? How about finding another battery supplier?
I don't think that would help us meet our current deadlines. We could keep the same battery, but not mention its lifespan.
That's possible, but our reputation is at stake here.
Yes, and if the project fails, we have no chance of becoming market leader.
Okay, why don't we wait and see what the technicians suggest and in the meantime move the launch date?
That's not an ideal solution. It means canceling the printers, the caterers, the advertising.
Do we have any other options?
Well, using a different phone for the launch would be my proposal. We could use the VP20. It's new, cheap, but not as high-tech.
I'm not convinced. The whole idea of this project was to offer a high-tech phone and services at an attractive price.
Yes, if you ask me, we should look at what we can reschedule.
Oh, I suppose so.
All right. So, what do you guys think about that? Were you able to understand most of the meeting? Do you have any questions? And also, what did you think about the video? I made this video with this new AI software, so I'm curious about the feedback. But anyway, so now we will go ahead and talk about some of these phrases. So you see here, the battery problem has to be resolved, otherwise this whole project's in trouble. So, okay, is that really the case? This is a good phrase here for kind of doubting what he's saying. Is that really the case? And then she uses how about. So how about is a great way to make a suggestion. How about we do this? How about we reschedule the meeting? All right, very good. Some simple phrases here. I don't think that would help. Talking about meeting the deadlines. Our reputation is at stake. So when something is at stake, it means that it is at risk. It means that if this goes wrong, the reputation could be damaged. So it's at stake. It's something that could be damaged in the situation. So, all right, very good. So, why don't we? This is another great phrase to make a suggestion. Why don't we do this? Why don't we wait and see what the technicians suggests? Okay, right? That's not an ideal solution. This is a polite phrase to kind of reject or tell someone their idea isn't very good. That's not an ideal solution. Okay? All right? Very good. So this here would be my proposal. So she says, using a different phone would be my proposal, meaning just another way to make a suggestion. So, okay. So take a minute to read this if you would like. I'm not convinced. If you ask me, as another great way to give your opinion, we should look at what we can reschedule. So what we'll do now, we're going to watch part 2 one more time so you guys can see all of this together, and then we're going to get into detail about some of these phrases. Okay, here we go.
Look at our options. The battery problem has to be resolved, otherwise the whole project is in trouble. That's how I see it.
Is that really the case? How about finding another battery supplier?
I don't think that would help us meet our current deadlines. We could keep the same battery, but not mention its lifespan.
That's possible, but our reputation is at stake here.
Yes, and if the project fails, we have no chance of becoming market leader.
Okay, Why don't we wait and see what the technicians suggest and in the meantime move the launch date?
That's not an ideal solution. It means canceling the printers, the caterers, the advertising.
Do we have any other options?
Well, using a different phone for the launch would be my proposal. We could use the VP20. It's new, cheap, but not as high-tech.
I'm not convinced. The whole idea of this project was to offer a high-tech phone and services at an attractive price.
Yes, if you ask me, we should look at what we can reschedule.
Oh, I suppose so.
Okay. All right. So they have a problem with the battery, and they are talking about rescheduling the project, rescheduling the release. So now we will get into the important part and talk about some of these phrases. All right. Here we go. So now what we'll do is we're going to talk about different phrases for different situations. We'll start with asking for an update. So here you'll see each one. We have the phrase, an English example, and an example of how you could say it in Spanish so that you understand this translation. All right, so the first one, asking for an update. How are things with? ¿Cómo van las cosas? How are things with the new supplier? Have they confirmed the delivery schedule? And you could answer by saying, things are going great. Things are on schedule, ahead of schedule. Okay. Next one. What's the current status of? So, what's the current status of the software update? Will it be ready for next week? En español, ¿cuál es el estado actual de la actualización del software? All right. So, what is the current status of? Okay. Another way to ask, how does your side of things look? How does your side of things look regarding the budget allocation for this quarter? Es como, ¿cómo se ve tu lado de las cosas con respecto a la, and kind of, yeah. So we would say, how does your side of things look? The next thing you could say, how is something coming along? How is the marketing campaign coming along? Are we on track to launch next month? Next one, how far are you with? How far are you with the final report? The client is expecting an update by Friday. Y algo para tener en cuenta con todas esas frases es que vamos a hablar de muchas frases en esa cosa de la clase. Entonces, la idea no es memorizar todos. La idea es más o menos elegir uno o dos que te sirven. Por ejemplo, en eso de ask for an update tenemos 5. Entonces, puedes ver, ok, esa frase me gusta, eso yo creo que me suena bien. Entonces, anótalo y en la próxima reunión que tiene, pues para, no sé, para ese fin de hablar de los proyectos, puedes, sí, usar la frase. Y así es, hay que anotar las frases y estudiarlas un poquito y intentar usarlo en la vida real. Y así se hace normal, así se puede hacer y así se viene más fluidez. So, if you want to be able to use these phrases in real life, I would recommend just picking 1 or 2 phrases from each section, writing it down, and trying to use it in your next meeting. So, it's very simple. You write it down, and next time you need to ask someone, okay, how is this coming along? And the more you do that, the more natural the phrase will be. So, the next one, giving an update. So, giving an update, you could say up to now, so far. So, up to now, the launch date has been set for November 15th to capture the holiday market. Next one, something happened some time ago. So he did something 2 weeks ago. I completed this project 5 weeks ago, 2 hours ago. He booked the venue 2 weeks ago, so we're finalizing the catering details. So en español es como hace 2 semanas, hace 2 horas. En inglés decimos 2 weeks ago. I've already. So if you did something in the past, you can use this already. So, how are things with the client? Things are great. I've already reviewed the supplier contracts and everything looks good. So it's como ya en español. En este caso, ya tiene muchos significados en inglés, pero en este caso es como already. I did something in the past. Okay. Now, the opposite. If you didn't do it, if you haven't done it, you can use yet, which in Spanish is como aún. Yeah, aún. So, I haven't received confirmation from the logistics team yet. So, how are things with the shipment? Not good. I haven't received confirmation yet. So, you can use this word yet to say something hasn't happened. Okay? Now, the next one, we're on track. So, on track means everything's going according to plan. On track, we also say on schedule. We're on track to complete phase 2 by the end of the month. Yeah. All right. Things aren't running as smoothly as I'd hoped. This phrase is when things are a bit like this. Things aren't going like you wanted. Las cosas no están yendo tan bien como esperaba. So, you can use this phrase when the project is a little bit uncertain. Algunas preguntas? Does anybody have any questions? All right, we will continue. Okay, last one here. To talk about a problem, you can say we've hit or we've run into, and we have many words for problems. You can say a problem, a setback, or a roadblock, or an obstacle. So, we've hit a problem with the software integration, and the team's working on a fix. Hemos encontrado un problema con la integración del software y ya puede leer lo que queda. Okay, so lots of words, lots of phrases to give an update. Now, a few more situations. All right. When you need to clarify or aclarar una problema, you can use these phrases. So these are phrases for when you don't understand what the person means. Puede ser porque no entiendes lo que están diciendo o porque la persona está hablando muy, no sé, no está yendo tan al grano, entonces puedes preguntar eso. So, what do you mean exactly? What do you mean exactly? Are you saying the project will be delayed? ¿Qué quieres decir exactamente? Another one. Are you saying? So, just to check. Are you saying this? It's a very good way to use it. So what you're saying is, and after you say this, you kind of rephrase what they said or what you understood. So what you're saying is that we need to find a new supplier immediately. Entonces, lo que estás diciendo es, y así. So the real problem lies with the production team, not the design process. Eso se trata de encontrar, no sé, el raíz de la problema. So the real problem lies with, and it's a good way to figure out why things are not going how they should. All right. Now, making a suggestion. So these are great phrases because it helps you to make a suggestion while being polite and diplomatic. So you can say, how about? So how about delaying the launch? ¿Qué tal si? En español. We could, como podríamos. So instead of saying we can, we often say we could because it's more polite. So we could outsource part of the work to speed up development. The next one. Why don't we? Why don't we schedule a meeting to discuss alternative solutions? ¿Por qué no programamos una reunión para discutir soluciones alternativas? Right. Very good. So why don't we? This is a very good one, to make a suggestion. Okay. Like we saw in the video, sometimes you can give the suggestion and say, would be my proposal at the end. So using a different supplier would be my proposal. Es como sería mi propuesta en español. Next one. If you ask me, we should. So if you ask me, we should prioritize fixing the technical issues before launch. Okay. All right. Now, responding to suggestions. So in meetings, people make suggestions. Some suggestions are good, and some suggestions are not that good. And so you need a polite way to agree with people, but also to disagree without hurting people's feelings or making them feel bad. Okay. And I realize that maybe... Okay, I realize that the screen is a bit cut off on the stream here. So give me 1 second. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Is this better? We can finish like this. Maybe I'll do this. Okay, 1 moment. Actually, that's much better. Okay, that's good. Okay. Okay, that should be a little better. Okay, so responding to suggestions, some good and some bad. First one, that's a good idea. Okay, very simple. Es una buena idea. It's worth a try. Como vale la pena intentarlo. So this is neutral. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe not. I don't think that would. Es como a bad suggestion. No creo que eso. Okay. Okay. Last one. I'm not convinced. This one is a bit aggressive. Not aggressive, but it means the suggestion is bad. No estoy convencido. And the last one, I suppose so. Supongo que sí. Listo. Okay. So these are some good phrases that you can use. And as I said earlier, you guys can look here in the messages. I'll put it again, but if you look at the top message, you'll see the Google document. And here you can review all of the notes. So you can review the notes from the class, see some phrases that you like, that you think you can use in your day-to-day life, and try to use them in business meetings. Listo. Eso es todo lo que vamos a hablar hoy. Entonces, si quieren, pueden mirar en el chat el... Ok, y listo. Listo, ya. Sí.